Let us stand firm for a judiciary that is not only independent in law, but also sovereign in its administration. Retired district judge, Mr. MJ Mola, and his wife, who owned a large lakefront house overlooking the Dhanmandi Lake exactly at the point presently occupied by the Dhanmandi Masjid al-Taqwa. Judge Mola was a lifelong dear friend of my maternal grandfather, Justice Muhammad Ibrahim, and therefore, befittingly, he and Begum Mola were saddled with the roles of being our neighborhood Nana and Nani. Our own bungalow stood on Old Road 17, now Road 11A, overlooking the Dhanmandi Women's Sports Complex. Sharing a boundary wall behind us was the house of Justice and Begum A.K.M. Bakir. Justice Bakir, who retired as one of the more famous judges of the Dhaka High Court, had earlier been the Advocate General from 1954 to 1955. It is, however, to our immediate neighbor next door that we must now turn. This was a large joint family with which an indelible friendship was formed over a period of 20 years by us, so much so that, like Judge Mola's and Justice Barker's family, these friends had become family to us. The undisputed patriarch of this family was Mr. M.H. Khandekar, once Secretary of the High Court Bar 1952 to 1953, and former president of that bar from 1964 to 1965. Mr. Khandekar had, of course, the rare distinction of being the very first Attorney General for Bangladesh from 21st January 1972 to 17th of December 1972. Mr. Khandekar also served out a stint as president of the bar around this time. Mr. and Begum Khandekar to this day remain our Dada and Dadi. That relationship, forged during the turbulent times of the late 1960s and throughout the 1970s, has withstood the test of time and survived my family's physical relocation to Gulshan from Dhanmandi in the late 1980s. The Khandekar household, large as it was, abounded in love and gracious hospitality. It is in that milieu that we grew up knowing one of the Khandekar children, our Katie Chachu, better known as Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali to the world. Katie Chachu stood out among all his siblings as the quiet one, always by the side of his dear parents, and who never relocated abroad as most or all of his brothers had done. Dada and Dadi's household, in all its daily hustle and bustle, were plagued, however, by one episode of sadness, quietly suffered by all and indeed ourselves as extended family members. It was the loss of a son who drowned in Dhanmandi Lake very early on. With the benefit of hindsight, I now see Katie Chachu, aka Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali, and his single-minded and unwavering devotion to his dear parents stemming partially from that particular family tragedy. And of course, Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali followed in his distinguished father's footsteps by studying law. That decision undeniably sealed his destiny as the true legatee of Mr. M.H. Khandekar's outstanding legacy. As we memorialize Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali today, there has to be the unavoidable references to his leadership role assumed at the bar as president from 2013 to 2014, and his earlier Attorney Generalcy from 30th April 2005 to 24th of January 2007. While all through the 2000s, Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali and I remained neighbors in Dhanmandi, our interaction was more in the courtroom, as members at the bar and bench, respectively, during this period. Our last engagement, as far as I can recall, in those capacities, was notably to the 2018 case of Begum Khaleda Zia versus the Bangladesh Election Commission, stemmed from 3 writ petitions, and one of those orders of 11th of December 2018 is reported in 2019 7 CLR 8 CD 8. Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali was the lead counsel for the petitioner, Begum Khaleda Zia, in those 3 related cases in this regard. In a recent international publication, I have particularly highlighted my ruling as the presiding judge in the Khaleda Zia election case as a prime example of how a judgment may reflect the aspirational value of the law. Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali's arguments in this case convinced me that over and above the factor of judicial independence enabling judges to arrive at coherent, intelligible, and reasoned conclusions as to the scope and nature of the law, judges must allow too for a theoretical or jurisprudential assent to take place in discarding traditional and strictly positivist, modest mode of defining and applying the law. Such theoretical assent, I strongly believe, also has a core moral element to it. And that element, in turn, is essentially constitutional. Bangladesh's constitution, learned members of the bar, like ours, places constraints on legislative and executive powers in terms construed to be moral. It is here at this juncture and in Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali's memory, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali knew that independence without infrastructure is an illusion, and that no great nation can thrive unless its courts are both constitutionally shielded and administratively empowered. He also recognized, as must we, that institutional independence is not a declaration, but a design, the one that requires both legal foundation and political will. As I reflect on the life and legacy of Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali, I am drawn to the closing lines of an article I myself had penned in an earlier moment of institutional contemplation, lines that sought to articulate a shared conviction that he and I held deeply. In that piece, I described the judiciary not as an island, remote and insular, but as a pillar which is strong, visible, accountable, and integrally connected to the constitutional architecture of the state. For Mr. Ali, as for me, the judiciary was never ornamental, never absolute, but essential. A force to be respected, not because it demands obedience, but because it commands trust. Let us therefore remember Mr. AJ Mohammad Ali not only in elegy, but in effort. Let us honor him in the continuing reform of our institutions, in the vigilant defense of our independence, and in the daily integrity of our conduct.
20 seconds. 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 20 seconds.
bench and bar alike. Let us remember him when we argue with civility, when we write with clarity, and when we decide with courage. In his honor, and with our shared vision as a compass, let us recommit ourselves to the unfinished task of constitutional parity. Let us stand firm for a judiciary that is not only independent in law, but also sovereign in its administration, accessible in its function, and trusted in its voice. May we, the inheritors of Mr. Ali's ideals, therefore, rise to the measure of his conviction. Thank you very much.